In the realm of luxury and time, exquisite watches stand not just as keepers of hours and minutes, but as emblems of artistry and astute investment. Today we delve into the captivating world of these masterful timepieces, where each tick is a stroke of genius, each design a legacy in the making. Envision a world where timepieces transcend their basic function, becoming canvases of history, symbols of sophistication, and vessels of financial wisdom. The intricate mechanics beneath the surface of renowned brands like Rolex, Omega, and others narrate stories of unmatched craftsmanship and precision. These watches represent more than luxury. They symbolize a savvy investment journey. They are objects of desire that can appreciate over time, mirroring the sophistication of their owners and the foresight of collectors. What truly elevates these timepieces to objects of investment? Is it the meticulous artisanship, the heritage they carry, or their rarity that fuels demand? Each watch is a unique saga, intertwining history with modern innovation, transcending its role as a mere timekeeper to become a treasure that grows in value both sentimentally and in the marketplace. Join us as we explore this enchanting world of elegance and legacy, where the art of luxury watch investment unfolds, revealing stories of prestige, timelessness, and financial acumen. Gary, I've heard you say that there are more watches that you like and want than you can possibly buy. What criteria matter to you most in a watch?
Let's see. Well, people who've read my stuff say that I'm obsessed with my friend Terry, who has this taxonomy for thinking about watches, and I'll just start with that. That there are watches, there are foundational watches, there are patronage watches, and there are fun watches, and there are different criteria for each of those for me. So when it comes to a foundational watch, something that you could have as the basis of a collection that is a recognized piece, there it's a lot about is the watch representative of its maker? Is it something where you say, oh yes, of course that's a Patek Philippe, or for an independent, yes, of course that's a Kari Voutilainen, where it's something that reflects the values of the brand and the maker. Beyond that, certainly the types of complications, the quality of the finishing, the visual appeal. Ultimately, when I sat on the jury of the Grand Prix, the word I used a lot was coherence. Does every part of the watch go with every other part? Can we recognize the front from the back and the back from the front? Patronage, and we'll come back to that later when we talk about independence, maybe. That's a lot more about supporting the work of living artists like Dan. And then there are fun watches where it's just, I just like the thing. I can't explain why. I'm not doing a lot of scientific research on it, but I'm able to understand. That basically, I want it. I can afford it. If the value goes to zero, I don't really care.
When you buy a watch, are you thinking about just wearing it for life, or do you think about it as an investment and will it appreciate in time?
I've been on panels and over the years, and I'm on the record many times saying I don't believe watches are investments. That said, if we turn the clock back to 2017, not that long ago, 2018 even, when watch collectors got together and talked about buying a watch, the question wasn't am I going to make money? The question was, am I going to get hurt? Getting hurt was the big term. Am I going to lose 30 to 50% the moment that I walk out of the store, or the watch comes in the mail? But to some extent that's shifted. We've had this big boom in values, which is now softened to some extent, and watches have gone from being a kind of a niche hobby to being a mainstream luxury category. And I think, to the extent that now among a much broader population of people, watches are seen as collectible objects, they become potential stores of value.
Dan, as a master watchmaker, can you share insights into the craftsmanship, those aspects that that may enhance a watch's investment potential? Well, I think you're muted. Yep, you're muted.
I'm muted. Okay. Gary had a couple of good points because he ran the gamut, like we were talking about just a little earlier, that there are collectors from the bottom to the top. And watchmaking has changed just recently in the last 10 or 15 years with the independent watchmakers show what's happened. So someone like, I'll pick a name, Philip Dufour. Everybody who even just trickles into the independent watchmaking world will hear this name in the beginning. If you bought one of Philip Dufour's early watches when independent watchmaking at our level now was just birthing, you would have paid around $45,000 for Philip's watch. And that would have been one of the greatest investments of your entire probably life, because his watches that watch is now worth millions. Not just one watch, but there's a series of watches. And there are other people in independent watchmaking in the beginning that also applies for, as well as the big brands. But as Gary noted, when you go with the major brands, it's always going to go up and down. It's been like that forever. It's just supply and demand. How much supply will they hold back to create the demand? Because they're just conglomerates. They're massive, huge, small cities of factories pumping out timepieces. No matter how small they would like you as a collector to believe that there's 3 or 4 guys on the top of a Swiss mountain building your Patek Philippe. It's like Ford Motor Company. It's quite different. Be it they are incredible timepieces, but now because of that collectability of timepieces, we don't need to tell time on our wrist. When mom used to send people out in my parents' generation and the generation before them, if you left the house going to school, you had a watch on your wrist because you had to know what time to be home. We don't need that. So timepieces have become art. That means the front of the timepiece, or when you turn it over, the mechanics. So now the mechanics have become art, meaning someone such as myself, I have a certain way I finish my timepieces, which are it's all done by hand on specialized machines that take years to find them through Switzerland and restore them. And that's the story, right? That one machine used to do Kostisnev stripes at when Rolex just opened their doors, and I have that machine now because now they moved to CNC. So each one of us in watchmaking have our own little story and how we finish our watches. And guess what? That is now art, just like a painting in your home. So we are now not watchmakers. I don't even really like to call myself watchmakers. I don't like awards or anything like that. I mean, on my Instagram, you'll see I call myself a horological manipulator. I'm just an artist of micromechanics. And if you like my art, you get my art through a small micro machine you can strap to your wrist. It doesn't need to tell time anymore, even though it does. So investment-wise, that's just one person. If you would have invested in V&A Halter, Gary mentioned earlier, one of his early pieces, you'd be a very wealthy man today. I mean, some of his pieces started around $600,000. And there's a very long waiting list. Or Roger W. Smith. I'm naming all indies because that's the world where I kind of live in. And I view the indies, the true indies, where there's less than 4 or 5 watchmakers building them, as a very good investment. Even and now, what's happening with the real investors in watches is behind the scenes. Before one of my friends releases a watch, or there's a new gentleman who's young and wants to build his own timepiece, comes out with his watch. He makes some drawings and some renders and whatever he's going to do. And behind the scenes, he presents it to these collectors. And they invest in them. They gamble. They're gambling with their money because they love watches. But on top of that, if they have that person's early piece and he becomes famous later on, guess what they have in the safe? So they invest. They give him half his money that he needs to get going. And they find 5 or 10 guys to invest in very expensive timepieces. And sometimes that works out very well. But don't invest in watches for investment reasons, because it could all crash down and kill you.
Yeah, which Gary touched upon that. Gary, I love the idea of patronage, foundational, and fun. within that mix, for you, for your collection, what's your thinking on manual wind, automatics, quartz?
Well, a lot of people think quartz is a dirty word, but I own quartz watches. I own a Brew watch, which is a micro brand, a guy named John Ferrer, super guy. And the reason I own that, and it's a $400 watch, right? And the reason I bought that watch is that it's visually very distinctive. It's a fun watch. It's cool looking. It looks like nothing else. That's great. As far as automatic winding versus manual winding, I think that's a matter of taste. I think, again, some watches, and there's like perpetual calendars, the watch I'm wearing now, you want it to be self-winding, because if you don't wear it all the time, you want to keep it on a winder, so that I'm getting an alert on the sound, for which I apologize. Let me see if I can pop back to this very quickly.
He sounds a little bit like Predator.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right. So, is that a little better? I hope. No.
Still getting a little bit. So I don't know if you need to reboot your computer and just start anew. I don't know. That could be dangerous, but.
Yeah. I don't know what to say. Let me try one more thing. Audio.
We'll let him do that, and then
Hold on.
maybe we can run segment 2, and then
is this any better now?
Oh, cleaner, yeah.
Okay, sorry. So let me know. Okay, perpetual calendar watch supposed to say wound all the time. It better be self-winding, automatically winding, because otherwise, when you take it out of the safe, you can screw it up trying to reset all the dates and everything. So you just keep it on a winder; it runs forever. A dress watch or even some sport watches, it's nice. It's nice having that tactile experience, winding it, especially if a watch. Dan, you mentioned Dufour. His simplicity has the greatest winding feel, I think, of any watch ever made. And you just sit and you wind it, and they click, 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 and there's just something really nice about it. But I think, Andy, you bring up a good point. There are all sorts of ways of thinking about an assortment of watches and what appeals to you and what kind of variety you want. I mean, there's some people who say you're not a collector unless you collect railroad watches between the years of 1873 and 1882, or military watches from following year to year. I don't actually believe that, right? For me, it's about having an assortment of pieces, each of which says something about its maker, and is a piece that, in and of itself, makes sense.
I love that. All right, let's go to segment 2.